Gen X isn't approaching midlife anymore. The oldest of us turned 61 in 2026. As the first generation to live our entire adult life under self-directed 401k plans, Gen X is hitting retirement with historic, unique financial pressures. We're going to talk about that today in the Fruit Will Burn It podcast. Welcome back to the Fruit Will Burn It podcast. If this is your first time here, I hope you enjoy our show. We generally speak about Gen X issues. We are the Gen X transplant brothers. Myself, Steve. This is my brother, Troy, sitting here next to me. We were both born in 1966. We both had liver transplants in the last 6 years. Me 6, Troy like 3. And that's us. And so today we're going to talk about something that we've talked about before here on the channel, which is the whole retirement pressure that Gen X is facing. And you can see that I'm nearing retirement. I have to wear my glasses now. But first off, Troy, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Wonderfully great.
Wonderfully great. Did you walk down to the Mississippi River today and sit in a coffee shop and watch the boats go by?
I did not do that today. It's a holiday, and I think everybody's closed to celebrate American Memorial Day.
Well, there you go. Let's pay our respects to those veterans. Well, those that went into combat and didn't come back. That's what Memorial Day is about. It's not about us veterans. Like you can see, I'm a veteran. Back there's my hat. This isn't my day. This is for the boys and girls that didn't come home from war. And we always need to keep them near and dear in our heart, because without them, who knows where we would be. So,
Yeah.
and for all the Gold Star families out there that are the surviving families of the service members, our hearts and prayers go out with you, to you. And so with that out of the way, Troy, I've got a list of notes here that I want to sort of go through to talk about this, because you actually are retired now. You went through the career thing. You retired from the railroad, full blown everything. Now you're in retirement. I'm not. I'm still working. I've been self-employed. I'm kind of different in that way. So I really want to lean on you today for this one. So I'm going to read down through these notes here. And the first one that we have is called the debt burden. Okay. I don't know how much debt you have, but let me read this out. So viewers out there, you sitting there watching this, maybe on your couch, maybe listening to us driving down the road, don't worry. Even if we show things, I'll tell you what they are, so you could do that without having to look at the screen. But I just want to read this. The debt burden. Gen X carries the highest debt of any living generation, averaging $158,105, including mortgages, credit cards, and student loans. Student loans still, if you're still. Anyway, they are officially running out of a working runway to pay it down. In other words, time is short, the cost is high. How do I pay that off on our way to retirement? Troy, how's the debt burden? You don't have to get super personal about it. You can say whatever you want to hear, of course, but how is debt playing into your retirement so far?
I just have a house I have to finish paying off, and that's probably more than I'll ever be able to pay off in the lifespan that I've got, that I think remaining. But that's about it for me. But I know a lot of people that simply can't retire because of debt. They can't
Right.
get out of it. I'm glad I'm not, that bad off, and my heart goes out to people that can't, especially if you're disabled. If you get a disability and you can't pay off your debt, that's got to be very stressful on people.
Right. And just the pressure of debt alone, even if, say you're one of the younger Gen Xers, or maybe the Xennials, as they're called, there's a subgroup. It's like 76 to 83, where they're kind of this like subgroup. And I get that because my wife was born in 82, and I think she's much more Gen X, though she didn't grow up in the United States, so she doesn't have our sort of Gen X culture in that way. But all of her interests are the same as ours, and everything. So even so, the younger ones like that, debt is a complicating factor in life, especially when you consider things like interest rates. And if you're just making the basic payment on a card each month and it's still going up in balance, I mean, we've all been there at some point. I recently just got a credit card for the first time in like 25 years. I mean, I tried never to have credit cards. I got one. It's a very small one, just $2,000. but it's already got like $1,200 on it just because of when I fly back to the United States, I
Yeah.
have to buy a plane ticket. And right now, to fly to Atlanta from where I live in Colombia, it's about $1,000 because of the raises of gas. And I know that that's not something maybe everybody else is dealing with, but you get the overall feel of that. Say your washing machine breaks down. Say you have to get a new transmission. Say the AC in your house goes out, or you got to get a new roof. Life happens, regardless of flavor, the shape, and how other people have it. A lot of us have this similar thing going on. And yeah, debt. So then there's this one, the healthcare hit. Now, these notes that I have were generated off of a couple of articles I had, and they largely talked about retirement age of 65. So a lot of these numbers are going to be for 65. Those are technically the uh, younger boomers. And so this one actually says that. So a 65-year-old retiring today, which you could consider a 61-year-old, more or less, we're not talking about much, can expect to spend 172,500 on out-of-pocket medical expenses in retirement. Yet 1 in 4 Gen Xers have completely ignored healthcare costs in their planning. So even if you are saving, this is another number out there that maybe wasn't considered. Maybe your retirement planning was about paying off the mortgage, paying off whatever you got to do, coming up with a number of where you want to live and how you're going to do it, and just getting all that squared away. But then there's this healthcare hit. Troy, you and I are kind of different, I would imagine. But again, it doesn't matter what other people have health conditions, but we both have liver transplants. And so we are bound to being in the medical world for the rest of our lives. We're going to be taking meds, we're going to be getting checkups. There's going to be stuff like that. How is it working for you as far as your retirement? What's going on with anything that came with your pension or whatever, as far as healthcare? And then how's the out of pocket stuff going for you on that?
It's ridiculous because I can never hit my premium, and I pay for healthcare every month just for an emergency. But it's ridiculous. The older you get, the more sick you get. And I don't know. Healthcare just keeps going up and up and up. And I don't know how anybody can afford it myself, unless you're a millionaire, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, there's probably people watching out there that don't have any of these. I mean, if you did an outstanding job, I could say, and I don't mean career, but you did a very good job overall in planning. Maybe you had a high paying position. Congratulations on that. And of course, that's awesome. That's what we would all, I guess, preferably be. But I think it's like 1 out of 3 Gen Xers have major issues with this. I think that's in the notes later, but I mean, you and I are certainly in that group because I mean, I'm looking at a stack of pills up in this cabinet on the other side over here that I literally have to fly back to the United States to get refilled at the VA. So I'm being a veteran, which does help because I am a veteran. I don't have to pay for that. I guess I pay for that by just serving, but there's a $1,000 plane ticket to get there. So, and that's my choice. I did move, and so yeah, I get that. But again, it's the same kind of thing, regardless of the conditions. A lot of us are dealing with these other costs, like Troy, never being able to hit the premium. I remember back in the day when I was traditional healthcare and all that, when I was working at UGAsports.com for 17 years. It was whenever we had anything, even like dental stuff. It was always just a few more dollars, and you'd have your premium, and then all of a sudden the premium resets.
Right, exactly.
Into
Every
the
year.
air.
Wow. You could have come
They,
in one more time and your
I
healthcare
know.
insurance would
It's
have
like
taken care of it.
exactly. It's like every November I need to go out in the backyard and like I don't know break my toe so I can just like get over the premium in case anything
Well,
happens.
I've gotten
Anyway.
to a point where I think healthcare, doctors, and pharmaceuticals are in bed together. I think it's a scam. I really do. I mean, I don't want to go into conspiracy stuff, but it's just odd that it just seems to be that way.
Well, folks out there, we introduced this new segment, the rabbit hole, Troy's rabbit hole. We've
Oh
been
boy.
referring to it. We've been referring to it a lot in the past. But as we go on today, at the end, we're going to have another Troy's rabbit hole. So be sure to stick around for that. We have a brand new fancy intro to it. So I really want you to see it. And if you like this, of course, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, talk to us, comment below. We will we'll talk back. And also, it helps inform us as to what you really want us to talk about in the Gen X experience. Okay. And yes, there's certain shows that are specific to me just being a US expat or whatever, and moving to Colombia. And there'll be those. But for the most part, when it's Troy and I, it's all of us. It's all of us. And so this is the next one, Troy. The housing trap. 34% of households aged 62 and over officially are called house cost burden, spending over 30% on their shelter. Remember the rule used to be in 1 week, if you can pay for it out of the month, you were good. That was the general rule when I was growing up. It's as
Yeah.
far as growing up, in other words, when I was 20s, 30s, whatever. Whatever your cost to live, your house, your apartment, whatever, you had to be able to pay that in 1 week. And then the other three you had for everything else. This is already over that. That would be 25%. This is 30%. So Gen X is next in line for this trap. And so we are there. Many are still holding mortgages or facing rising rents. And I think we've kind of talked about that already with yours. But in the past, Troy, you've mentioned that you're some kind of struggle with the costs going up because of mortgages or something like that.
For me, it's the insurance. Home insurance is getting ridiculous to
Insurance.
where your insurance, there's another rabbit hole. Insurance, yeah. But your insurance goes up so much that you're never going to have your house paid off ever because I have it
Right.
put into my mortgage. So, you know,
Oh, so that's what it was. So
yeah,
your mortgage payment goes up because the insurance is built in as a component. So if it goes up, your mortgage goes up.
yes, and it's
Yeah.
stupid, but what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
The Social Security clock. The Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund is projected to be depleted by 2033,
Oh, I think it's already depleted.
right at peak Gen X, its full retirement. So that's everybody now, even all y'all that were born, maybe even you Xenials, all the way up to like 82, 83. But from 65 to 80, 83, we're all going to be in this by then. Most of us. I maybe all, but anyway,
Well,
that's good. What happens if that runs out?
I think it's run out. I really do because um, this is our beautiful government solution to that. Is just we'll just have people work till they're 80. So so more people will be paying into it, and then hopefully they'll all die before they have to collect. Could you imagine getting fired when you're 60 because you're too old, but you can't retire for another 20 years, and you can't find a job because nobody will hire you? Woo, there's a great solution. Woohoo!
There's actually a note on that one. Working until 70 is a hope, not a plan. Nearly half of Gen X plans to just work longer. But that strategy assumes a lot that your body cooperates, your industry still wants you, corporate restructuring spares you, AI doesn't eat your damn job, and your family doesn't require full time caregiving, which is another one that some Gen Xers are facing. Not only do they have to take care of their own family unit themselves, maybe just them or a spouse, but then, maybe they're helping their kids still, but then some are also helping their adult parents. And so I'm not in that position. Well, I know the kids' position, but not in the adult parents' position. They're actually from time to time bailing my ass out. but and I mean not like that Christmas and shit like that to help make sure I get to Christmas. How pathetic is that at my age? But it's the reality, man. It's the reality. It's just like, all right, Christmas plane ticket's gonna be $1,400 to fly back to Chicago this year. That is
Yeah,
my monthly. That's my monthly housing cost.
whether
So,
you know how the airlines are charging for, if you're overweight, they'll charge you for two seats. Maybe you could lose some weight, Steve, and only have to pay
well,
for half a
I
seat and share it with a skinny person.
that's a that's a new website, Skinny Travel.
Yeah. Here,
You cannot be
here's
wider than this. It's like at Disney. You got to be this tall to ride the ride. And this thing, you must be this wide to ride the ride.
yeah. Don't bring any luggage because we'll charge you for the fuel.
And be sure to knock out that 72-hour fast before you board.
Right.
We'll have a protein shake at the other end for you, folks. So, at any rate, let's change the gears here a little bit, Troy. I'm going to share a video that I found. I saw a clip of this video one day, and I was like, "Wow, who is this guy?" Because the title of it was "Gen X are the biggest losers." I was like, "Oh my god, here we go! They're going to start talking about all we do is brag about them in the '80s." And how the music was better, video games and arcades and all blah blah blah, and '70s drinking out of garden hoses, riding our bikes all night long, and brag. But that's not what it's about. And it turns out I found the actual video. This is the guy. Let me get it to the beginning. So this woman here is a Gen Xer, and in it, yes, she does make an error. She says it's 25 years, it's 15 years, from 65 to 70, 65 to 80. See, I just made one too. So whatever. So Rosie Blau, I guess, is the host. This is from the Economist, and she's talking to this individual about this. See why Gen X is the loser generation. So we're gonna play this right now, and Troy, we're gonna comment on it as we go along because obviously we can't play the whole thing. It's only 7 minutes, but here we go.
It's Generation X.
Generation X describes people who are born between roughly 1965 and 1980. Every generation seems to think that they are the cursed generation. So, for example,
Cursed.
Gen Z will say, our childhood has been ruined by social media and smartphones. Millennials will say, we can't buy a house. Baby boomers will say, our retirement is very uncertain. But what I've kind of discovered is that really the true losers in the generational war are Generation X.
So tell me what it is that makes us Generation X really so unusual.
So one thing that's unusual about Generation X is that no one is really that interested in them. So if you look, for example, at the number of books that have been written about Generation X, or even things like the number of times that people search for Generation X online compared with, say, searching for baby boomers, they're just much less popular, basically. They're also much less likely than any other generation to know that they are themselves part of Generation X. And so there's this weird thing where they've kind of vanished from public consciousness.
So why should we?
Troy, you mentioned that when I started talking to you 9 months ago before we started this channel. We started in October, November, whatever. And I said, let's do this Gen X transplant bros. You've said at one point that you never even thought about the fact that you were Gen X until I started talking about it, or maybe around that time. This guy just said that most people don't think about being Gen X. And in fact, I think there's a lot of reason we don't get a lot of comments because Gen Xers, whatever. so Troy, what do you talk about that a little bit? So you are Gen X. How did you find out about that?
Probably from you. Because I think there was a new wave band in the 80s called Generation X. So every time I heard Gen X, I thought they were talking about them. Had no idea I was one.
Yeah. Gen X, no, those are the people that watch porn.
Right.
What the hell is Gen X? Yes, we're Gen X.
And
why did we get a letter? Why are they the boomers? I guess they're W, and the millennials are Y, but we call them Y. Let's see, Gen Z is called Gen
Alpha.
Z. Is that an alpha? Yeah, it's out there. I won't imagine being generation beta.
We can change ours to the Gen Triple X.
Banned in every conversation. All right, that goes with what this guy's saying. He says nobody writes books about us. Nobody really writes about it. So Triple X, we are banned from popular society.
Right, exactly.
Polite society. Just where we want to be. Y'all stay outside. Dirty. We're going in here and partying.
That's the dirty, rotten generation.
All right, here we go. Let's keep this going. Here we go.
We'd be thinking about them.
Gen X are at a tricky age at the moment. There's this theory called the U-bend of life theory, which actually has quite a lot of academic support. And basically what this says is that you're pretty happy when you're young and you're pretty happy when you're old, but you're pretty miserable when you're in middle age. So there was a recent poll by Ipsos which found that roughly a third of Gen Xers are either not very happy or not happy at all. Now, the question is, why does this happen? There's a few reasons. One is that some chronic health issues begin to emerge in middle age. people kind of come to realize that they're not going to achieve all they wanted to achieve in their career. And also when they're at this tricky stage where often they have to look after both children and parents. So it's not surprising that people find those years to be particularly difficult.
So those are the
For generation one is that if you look at when people's earnings start to really take off, it's in their kind of 30s and early 40s. Now, for Generation X, this coincides.
I want to stop him right there. He said two things. One I agree with, and one I don't agree with. One, he said that Gen X doesn't want to be corporate drugged, so to speak, sit in a cubicle all day. I am a prime example of that. Okay, I've been self-employed, working remotely since 30 years ago. This coming like about now, actually. I didn't become profitable, of course, until 98, so 2 years. But I was already working online, doing all this stuff, building projects and everything, and making money actually off the sides. Literally did some weird odd jobs on contracts and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that for the large part, Gen X isn't in that mold. We don't want to really, we've been, for those of us that truly, and again, I'm not trying to shine a spotlight on us, but those of us that truly grew up in that total latchkey environment, for those early ones, the MTV generation, 65 to 75, the ones that they grew up only in that stuff of being able to ride their bikes, drink, all these things that you have this sort of mythos around Gen X. That was our daily freaking life. It wasn't some Hollywood special or something they make it up like to be nowadays, or maybe we brag about. It's just the way things were. And frankly, I still drink out of garden hoses. But I agree with him on that, is what I'm saying. But the next part, he said, maybe we're not putting in as much effort at work. I call bullshit on that. I think that Gen X, that one of the calling cards of us is we get shit done. If you just leave us alone, give us a job to do, we're going to get it done. But if you try to corporatize us and try to lead us around like a sheep or whatever, like your pet, that might create problems. And I'm not saying for every Gen Xer, okay? Certainly there's going to be exceptions, and there might be a large percentage that are like that. And that's fine too. I'm not trying to say there's something wrong with sitting in the cubicle all day. If you're earning money and doing your job and having a happy life, that's on you, man. That's great. Awesome. And I mean that. I'm not just joking here. But I don't, of all the people that I have not known, I don't know if I have any friends or anything I can think of the entire time. Most of them, frankly, worked odd, weird side gig type jobs. And that just might be because of who I am. But along the way, everything from, getting out of the military, following the Grateful Dead, working in the online world and going into counseling. And then everybody started being remote counselors I was already a remote counselor by 2017. Just 2 years in that process of sometimes going in, stuff like that, but also being independent. I think a lot of us are like that. Maybe not as crazy as what I just said, but overall, Troy, did you ever have the cubicle lifestyle?
I did when I was a draftsman for about a year. I did not like it at all. It's like, here's your limits. Work, work, work. I couldn't stand that lifestyle.
And when was that?
It'd have been 2006. I quit the railroad for a year.
Oh, so you left the railroad, did that, and then went. Talk about that.
Well, it was, I wanted a better life. I wanted to be around my kids more. So the railroad was not providing a lifestyle to do that. So I quit to go back to land surveying and AutoCAD drafting. And then that recession of 2007 hit. So I went back to the railroad. I didn't do it for very long, but it was not, for me, it wasn't a happy place. I did not like cubicle work at all.
What was your freedom like on the railroad?
Well, you're gone. There's no bosses looking over your shoulder. You're on the road. You're kind of the boss of yourself on the railroad. Your freedom. Then you got time away from your family if you needed it. And it was a complete freedom until, they wanted to fire you. That it was kind of hectic because it seems like they'd always pinpoint somebody to mess with for 6 months. to see if they could handle it. So if you made it through that, you were back in Freedom Town. But I enjoyed the freedom of the railroad a lot.
Yeah. There's so many subtopics in here that we could talk about. I've got
Yeah,
a list
there's
of talking points here, but I think we pretty much covered it. I mean, we've had deeper dives into this. We had that big one, you know, what is it, 200,000 or whatever. I forget the number in the title, but there's a significant amount of Gen Xers that have basically no savings. And
yeah,
remember that conversation? I'll try to link it above at some point,
yeah.
or maybe at the end, we'll put that in there.
I
But
I, I think that retirement just really sneaks up on you, and if you're to really to have a good retirement, you got to start thinking about it when you're 25, not
right,
50 or 40 even. You're too late at that game, in my
I guess,
opinion, because I did not do any of that. So I mean, I'm happy with what I do have, but if I'd have thought about it at an earlier age, of course, when you're young, you're invincible. I'll worry about that when it gets here. Well, it's here now, right?
yeah. It's like we all have this dream that we're going to retire and just go out to the golf course, or maybe we're going to retire somewhere like Cozumel and sit on the beach each day and have margaritas. Which I was around a bunch of those people when I lived there in 2022. I lived in Cozumel the entire year, and got married there, but not to a Mexican. And so, uh, but I don't know, man. It's like that old dream of retirement, getting the double wide down in Florida, a place like one of those towns where it's all a bunch of old folks and, God knows there's some weird stories about what's going on in those places. But those are
Yeah,
boomers and they have fat retirements probably. I'm not banging on, I'm not bitching about it from our end. But that's just something that's not going to be a reality for me. And I imagine that's the case with a lot of people. We're not all of a sudden going to be able to just say, "Hey, let's you and I, honey, let's head down and buy a double wide, whatever, Clear Creek, Florida." I made up the town, perhaps there is one. Um, and just live with all the other people, get a golf cart, ride around, and hit the golf course all day, sit on the beach again, maybe have margaritas or pina coladas or whatever. Um,
well, the friends and family in Arizona told me, um, when we were young, growing up in Arizona, you had what's called the snowbirds, the people that
yeah,
didn't like winter, and they'd come down to Arizona. They had a second house in Arizona that they live in through the winter. Well, friends and family are telling me that those people are not showing up anymore. The boomers are dying off or selling their properties because the next generation of Canadian or Northern people just can't simply afford to have their own house, let alone a second vacation home in Arizona. So all that's fallen apart for the state of Arizona. So those people could plan for a retirement and have an additional home at one time, whereas
yeah,
now you're lucky to have a home.
right. Like my godmother, and I've called her my godmother because she literally is since I was a kid, but she's more like an aunt. Uh, they live in Sandpoint, Idaho, and did well. And when her husband died, she kept the place, kept the land, lots of land and stuff like that, and then moved to Zihuatanejo in Mexico on the Pacific coast, a well-known place. And every time I say that, people say, "You mean the place in the green, or what was it, Shawshank Redemption?" Yes, same place, Zihuatanejo. But she lives there now. She's been there for probably 15, 16 years. She's a resident of Mexico. And I don't think she ever even goes back to the United States at this point. And but the combination of all that, she has a really nice villa where she could have some people come in and I guess you'd say, how would you say it? Villa is how you say it here in Colombia. You might say villa in Mexico.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, but villa, as you'd say here, like tortilla, not tortilla. Medellin, not
Illinois.
Medellin. Illinois, not Indian. Exactly. That's where Illinois comes from when Troy says Illinois. So I tell him in Colombia, the L's are a J sound, not a Y sound. So, but at any rate, yeah, I mean, so she's nailing it and she's a true boomer. I mean, she, college in the 60s, all that stuff. And so, and of course, I'm not trying to bang on that, but man, wouldn't that be nice? And yeah, there's plenty of Gen Xers that can do that too. But there's also a lot of us that can't, at least not to that degree. And that's really what we're talking about here. We don't have any solutions for you, folks, and neither does the government. Nobody's looking out for you. You're on your own.
No.
We're all on our own. And with that out of the way, Troy, do you have any rabbit hole ideas for the day?
No, I guess I'll go back to the insurance scam of medical, pharmaceuticals, and doctors. I think they're in bed together.
Okay, well, it is time now, folks, for Troy's rabbit hole.
Down we go into the rabbit hole! Ah, into the rabbit hole!
Yeah. So you buy your insurance all your life to get to retirement and still have to pay for insurance. You go to the doctor and your insurance isn't good until next year when it rolls over. That's my insurance scam. I think it is a scam. I don't think it's a conspiracy. And as far as pharmaceuticals and doctors, their cure is to put you on medications. One of the medications I was on was for heart disease because, as you know, when you have a liver transplant, the next thing to goes your heart and your kidneys. So I was on that, and it was causing severe paranoia. So I was like, and my doctor told me that, well, we could get you off of that and put you on something else. Like, no. So my thing about pharmaceuticals is, how come they're giving me something for my heart that's going to cause some problems up here? Because the solution is, well, we got problems for what's going on up here now. And so where you're just like, all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're on 20 medications. I quit all of them. I take my Stay Alive pills and baby aspirin.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. Stay Alive pills. I'm not supposed. Remember the rule of the rabbit hole is I'm not allowed to speak. Don't you ask me to.
Okay, well, that's all I got. So you can say what you got about Stay Alive pills. I gotta take them, or I won't stay alive.
The Stay Alive pills he's talking about are the immunosuppressants that we have to take as liver transplant survivors. It keeps our body from saying, "Hey, who's that? Let's kill it," basically. And so I actually don't refer to them as that. I call them my mellow immunos because because I don't believe that my body would do that. It's part of the way I wrote a book about this. Anyone will hear me talking about this. I had a different way of approaching all these things. I called cancer my teacher. And so when it came to my medications, I had to make them something beneficial, and there was no chance anything was going to go wrong. And I stayed positive. And you know what? There was a clip. We're not having clips on this channel anymore. We now have Gen X transplant bros. That's where clips are going to be. We're just going to be long form with one clip here, because clips taken out of context can sound crazy. Because I was over there talking about, all you got to do is believe. And I was talking about liver transplant, and I started getting people replying saying that's bullshit.
Right.
Okay. Should I have been negative? Should I? But see, they don't know what I was talking about. For all they know,
didn't
they're
get
talking
the full
about
story.
Right. They thought maybe I was trying to, get the perfect job or build a YouTube channel or whatever. Just stay positive. It does sound very fluffy. But when you're given a terminal diagnosis of 6 months to 3 years for 9 years, you have a choice. You can either buy into that and go with it. And if I had done that, I would not be here. I'm convinced I would not be here. And so I just kept saying, I'm going to live. And so I had to make everything positive.
Right.
And,
It's good. It's better to be that way altogether, no matter what, really.
Exactly. Although if everybody watched the videos, we're going long now. If you want to leave, we're going to babble a little bit. Thanks for watching the channel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Hit the bell so you can always be notified when our new updates or episodes as they come out. But for those that want to stick around a minute, and by the way, we now have membership, and so we have one member. Oswoki Hunter is his name, and so that's all I know. It's a screen name, and so shout out to you, buddy. Thank you for being our first member of the channel. But over the weekend, I had 2 videos. On Saturday, I went to the Abelardo de la Esperilla. I'm not even going to say that again. He's one of the candidates running for Colombia for the presidential election,
Tigre.
which El Tigre, see. And so where's this hat? But I have his wristband right here. This is the so it says "Firm for the Country," has his name on it. They gave me all this stuff while I was there. And I even bought a Colombian flag that I had on the videos over the weekend. But and I really hope he wins, because for people living here, it's going to make a big deal, particularly expats. Which brings me to Sunday's video. Yesterday, I had a highly emotional video. I was pissed. The U.S. government, you can go watch it. It's literally yesterday. I'm not going to go into it here, but what the government has done with immigration now is going to virtually, I mean, it's almost, I don't know if I'm going to live long enough for the visa process to go through, because the way they have it so complicated, and every few months they're making it even harder for people from Latin America to immigrate into the United States. And so there's going to become a time on this channel where my accidental I'm going to become now an official resident. I've been here on a marriage visa for long enough that I can become a permanent resident. I'm doing that this month. That also makes me an immigrant. So depending on how you want to look at this, I'm an American expat or I'm a Colombian immigrant. And so the segment that I have, accidental expat, at some point in the future, if this goes on long enough, I will apply for Colombian citizenship. And at that point, that segment is going to be renamed the intentional immigrant.
Yeah.
And I will be able to say, "Yo soy colombiano." I am Colombian. And what a weird fucking thing for me to say, but there's a very real possibility that I will be buried in Colombia. Just because I'm not going to leave my wife here, just because the U.S. thinks that she's some kind of danger, you know. But that is what it is. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. You don't have to. And yes, I did it to myself. I made the fatal mistake of marrying somebody from another country. Bad move, Steve, right? So
Love conquers all.
love conquers all, and I'm fine. Man, I'm having the time of my life. I'm living the best part of my life right now. But
I'm
as far
quite
as
the
the
conqueror.
conversation, I'm going to be one of these people that has to work till 7. I'm probably going to be the person I work with is in his late 70s and he still works. And I think he's probably in a similar situation. We're literally going to be working because we talk, work. We talk. I mean, being a counselor, as I am, drug and alcohol counselor. And I'll probably be talking up until the day something happens. And that'll be it. And that could be 75 years old for all I know. But man, can you imagine if we make 75 after being terminal illness?
Yeah. Well, that'd be neat, but
Maybe they'll release the Epstein files by then.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Trump will be in his 8th term. And
King Trump, no kings, man.
no, yeah, exactly. I mean, as long as you keep us at war and keep us distracted, you can eventually say, "Oh, it's wartime. We don't have to have an election." Just like the guy in Ukraine's doing. Feasible. You can feasible. Just stay in office, man. Just stay. Come get me. All right, we're getting way off the track here. As far as the retirement thing goes, for folks that are here, man, we feel it. And if you worked a very traditional thing, even if you did the same place, and I've got cousins that have done this, they worked in a fire department in a small town like in Wisconsin or something like that, literally, in my case, our case, and you do the entire thing all the way up to your 62, whatever, from the time you're 18, 19, 20 years old. Actually, put this in Billy as military veterans, but 25 to that age, same job, knows everybody in town, loves his job, but is it going to be enough? Is it going to be enough? Are the pension plans going to be there? Did the people running the pension plan blow all the money on some weird scam? Is the gold in Fort Knox, so to speak?
No.
No, we can't even get the UFO files. They've been lying to us for 75 years about that. So don't expect the truth, anybody, anytime soon. Like I said, we are it. We are on our own. So, Gordon, Bob, we're there. But, all right, everybody. Troy, you got anything else to say before we go?
No.
Okay, everybody, if you like today's show, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell. You'll never miss a notification. You can reach out to me, SRP Valkyrie, on X. My DMs are wide open. I'm channeling David Hooksteth here. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Anyways, see you next time, man.
Adios.
Hey, everybody, if you like this kind of content, please subscribe. And always comment below, share it with friends. It's the only way we can get the message out. And thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time. And
Stay